All right, guys, we're back here on Southeastern 16. Jay Greeson joins as we are ready for our Week 6 power rankings in SEC football, and we will jump into all of that fun stuff here in just a minute. As a quick note, right off the bat, so you guys know that usually it's Chris and Jay doing these power rankings each week, but Chris's mom passed away this morning, so please make sure to send all of your love Chris's way. Just wanted to throw that out at the start here, Jay.
It is prayers are with Chris, prayers are with the whole Lee family and his extended family, because having gone through it, my mom died. It'll be 9 years on Thursday, and it's an absence that is really felt. It's always felt.
Yeah, so again, guys, you can reach out to Chris. You know, you can find him on here when he jumps back in. But he is on Twitter/X if you want to reach out to him there at ChrisLee70. And of course, if you follow the other stuff he does, you know where you can find him as well. So, all right, no easy transition, but let's jump into our power rankings here for this week. And Jay, we start at number 16, and it is Arkansas, who winds up getting the bottom spot here. I was curious, and I know it was kind of mentioned in the chat here about how you doing. It's like, what sort of combination are you going to get at the bottom with those teams? I wasn't sure if Arkansas would land in this spot, but I kind of had a feeling after that Notre Dame game. I think most people probably are going to rank Arkansas at the bottom.
As we get into these, I think it's pretty clear that there are like 3 tiers that are starting to develop. There is the top tier of teams that are currently undefeated. There is a blue blood rich middle tier of one-loss teams, all of them still with college football playoff aspirations. And then there is like the collection of the world's tallest midgets, and how we're going to rank them. If it's fair to rank the top one about who has maybe the best showing, I think it's fair to make Arkansas last, because even against a good Notre Dame team, that's the worst showing in the SEC I've seen this year.
Yep. So, yeah, I wasn't sure where everyone else would go. I mean, I put Arkansas at 16, and I think it was because, like you said, I think coming off that showing, I know just Wicked Brew, I think, said it, like, is Arkansas just a bad team? I don't like, there's plenty of talent on the roster. It's just the way it all has unfolded. Not ideal. So, all right. Luke asked, by the way, he said between Arkansas and the Ryder Cup, this was a terrible weekend. When is basketball season? Right around the corner, Luke. Like, you got a month to go, man. You're not that far away. You have an exhibition game, I think, maybe less than a month away now. So, not that far away. So, all right, number 15 is Kentucky. The Cats land here after a lopsided loss against South Carolina, 35-13, as we know. So Kentucky right now sits at 2-2 on the season, Jay. Their wins against Toledo and Eastern Michigan. Lost by a touchdown to Ole Miss, but did not go as well in Columbia against South Carolina. Up next, the Georgia Bulldogs on Saturday.
And an angry collection of Georgia Bulldogs. I mean, look, you ride the ebbs and flows, especially when you watch this and gamble. But I don't know if we had a more predictable scenario than Cutter Bowley's first SEC start at night amid the sandstorm, leading to his only touchdown pass was to a South Carolina DB.
Brutal. Yeah. I mean, I know the chat's asking, how does Nick's like, how is Kentucky not last? I think, again, Nick, to us, it probably came down to just Arkansas's performance against Notre Dame, and they also fired their head coach. So I think it's okay to probably move them to the bottom. And I know George Vol thinks Arkansas would beat Kentucky. That may be the case, but still, it's just like coming off of that week, I think it was hard not to put Arkansas at the bottom. So, all right, let's get to number 14. No surprise probably for most people, it is the Florida Gators, who sit at 14, Jay, as I mean, again, it's like I don't really know where else you put them. I think this was pretty much unanimous looking at the rankings in terms of where everybody had Florida this week. There may have been one difference on this, but I haven't seen the Gators since that 26-7 loss to Miami, and now after back-to-back games against, at the time, were two top 5 teams. Now they're going to host a top 10 team in Texas on Saturday.
Well, I honestly think the big question right now is happening in the upper tiers of the athletic department, because as the team picture grows, as more chairs are put into the musical chair coaching carousel, you've got to you've got to be quicker with the trigger, don't you? I mean, because you're now going to have to get into the sweepstakes and we talked a little bit about it yesterday, Blake, when we had the Arkansas news look, Gainesville's still a very desirable place for any coach who wants to take a step up and compete for championships. But it's now UCLA, Virginia Tech, Oklahoma State, Arkansas. That's a growing group of musical chairs that have a whole lot of financial backing.
Yep. Yeah, and by the way, too, Jay did mention it. If you want to go back and get our thoughts on Sam Pittman's firing, and I don't even know how many names we wound up mentioning that were thrown out at us in the stream we did yesterday afternoon. So if you're an Arkansas fan, go check that out. Had a lot of names mentioned as possible candidates in the future, even though we know Bobby Petrino taking over for now in the interim. But yeah, Gators, we'll see. Who knows? We'll talk about that game today as well. You get your prediction video for Florida and Texas. So, all right, now we move on to number 13. It is South Carolina. I'm a little surprised by this, Jay. I thought there'd be another team that would fall a little bit further.
There's certainly going to be a 12.
Yeah, we'll get to them in a second. I was a little surprised at South Carolina. I had them higher. But the Gamecocks, as we said, coming off a 35-13 win against Kentucky. And yeah, I'm a little, I won't say stunned, but I am a little surprised that they fell a little bit further than the team we're going to have at 12.
Well, I think it's hard to justify putting Auburn ahead of South Carolina if this next sentence is going to come out of my mouth. But Auburn's played a much more challenging schedule. And South Carolina's got a round 1 quarterback, and they have 10 offensive touchdowns, but they have 6 defensive or special teams touchdowns. I mean, through 5 games, if you only have 10 offensive touchdowns, thank God your defense and your special teams are figured out ways to find the end zone.
Yeah. Gamecocks, yeah, you look at their resume to this point, 3-2, wins over what we know, Virginia Tech team that just completely fell apart, South Carolina State, and then they beat Kentucky. They had a 31-7 home loss to Vanderbilt. We know there was a notable injury development in that game, but still, 31-7 was the final, and then they lose at Missouri, 29-20. So, talk about a schedule, Jay. The next 5 games for South Carolina.
Yes.
At LSU, home against Oklahoma, home against Alabama, at Ole Miss, at Texas A&M. Got to be the toughest in the country, I think, in terms of 5-game stretches, potentially.
In our preview last week, Brian and I kicked around that if South Carolina, because of that schedule, if South Carolina doesn't beat Kentucky, they could be staring at a donut in this league.
Luke asks, where would you assess the seat right now for Shane Beamer in terms of where he's at?
Well, that's an interesting scenario because they're about to be faced with a real possibility of having to give the man a pay raise because Virginia Tech's going to come kicking the tires. Don't you think? I mean,
yeah, and in that upcoming schedule too. I mean, again, I'm not saying they're going to go 0-5 because I think they're going to win probably at least a game or two. But when you get to the top of our rankings here in a second, I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong. Like you're talking about 4 of the top 5 teams in our rankings this week. That they're all on the upcoming schedule in the next 5 games. So,
and then Cardman just threw in the chat, if the noise does start to get loud and Virginia Tech does call, I mean, look, you can make a whole lot of dad Freudian type analysis of should he go back? What is it? I mean, if he wants to be his own coach, but if you're getting heat and then another Power 4 job, which has an easier path to the playoff from Blacksburg than it does from Columbia, South Carolina, if they come calling, that has to give it more credence. And I know you and I have talked about for a couple of weeks about possibly breaking down any given Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Coming after watching that, I thought Beamer was ready to explode in South Carolina. I thought Beamer and Lenore Sellers were going to do what Drinkowitz and Bo Prabula are doing in the other Columbia.
Yeah. We will get around to reviewing that at some point, by the way, folks. We may give that to our members. So if you want to sign up for our Just Means More tier at Southeastern 16, we may do that for members because I think you guys would enjoy that. Yeah, I think it would be an interesting discussion for sure. All right, so South Carolina was at 13, and now we are going to get to the next one. And again, I thought they would fall lower. Although I thought, to be honest, as low as they were going to fall would have been 13 because I don't know that I would have put them lower than 14 to 16 based on those three teams. But Auburn is at 12, Jay, coming off of – I mean, look, and I know, like I saw Bruce Pearl tweeting it out, and I saw the response about how, hey, we were that close in these games and that games, but we said it on Saturday. I just don't remember in terms of like the heat, and I know social media is social media, but in terms of Hugh Freeze, the way he called that game against Texas A&M, and then just the overall, I think, I don't even know what the word is. You probably have multiple that you could use. The fan base is exactly. I was going to say you have multiple, but you probably can't say them right now. I just don't recall a time where it was maybe as high as I saw it coming out of that Texas A&M game on Saturday.
Well, so many things to get to, so many issues. I think it's the first time any team's gone 0 for more than double-digit third downs. Auburn was 0 for 13 on third down Saturday. It's the first time since Marshall did it in 2022, I think. Auburn had exactly 3 feet of offense in the fourth quarter. Texas A&M had more passing yards than Auburn had total yards and more rushing yards than Auburn had total yards. In the second half, the defense had right at the same number of total yards as the offense did for Auburn on the interception return. Simply put, and big picture about Auburn, something that Hugh Freeze fails at consistently is your fan base needs to know that a loss on Saturday, whether it's even faux emotion, that the loss on Saturday, especially one like this, is going to bother you as much as it bothers us. I mean, somebody put in the chat with the Ryder Cup in Arkansas, I felt the same way. With Friday, I mean, at least our local high school team won on Friday night, or we'd have been looking around and hiding all the heavy prescription meds. I mean, as a sports fan, it's just dreadfully bad. And look, there are a lot of proud Auburn fans and who do a lot to defend the history of their program. I saw a stat today in the Times Free Press written by my buddy David Pascal. And I think this is unbelievably important as we talk about Hugh Freeze in the here and now. Because if Auburn's going to truly thump their chest and talk about what was and who they are, how about these for 5 coaches, 5 of the and this is leaving a couple out, but 5 coaches in SEC games at Auburn since I was 9 years old when Pat Dye was hired. Pat Dye was 48-27-3. Terry Bowden was 30-14-1. Tommy Tuberville was 50-30. Gus Malzahn was 39-27. Hugh Freeze is 5-13.
Yeah, I mean that. Sometimes the numbers tell the story, and that's a pretty simple comparison there. That I think you come out of it, and I mean, and look too, it's like you come off of 2 very frustrating losses. You got Georgia and Missouri up next, of course, after the bye week. And, I mean, you go 0-2 in those 2 games at home. Then where are we sitting before they head to Arkansas? right? I mean, we talk about.
Hey, then they got to sit. They got to kick the tires to see if Tuberville wants to come back and coach one game. So it's Tuberville versus Petrino in the old Jetgate Bowl, and that really flummoxed everybody in the 2000s and the aughts.
Here's a question from Zach, Jay.
Yes, I was
what would you put? What would you put the number on? You could set an odd, whatever you want to do. What are the chances he's there the entire season?
It makes the Georgia game a hell of a lot more important.
Mm-hmm.
And that game's always important. And Georgia's been kicking our tail for going on decades. And I'll tell you something else that didn't help Hugh Freeze. And I'm certain, I don't know if you and Max got into this. Basketball's not the dunk it once was for the last 5 or 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. I mean, the angst and the David, that's a pretty good number on less than 20%. I was thinking 1 in 3, but and it's not so much that they lost, because if they played well, and you're talking about 1 touchdown, 1 score losses on the road at top 10 teams. So it's not just the L. They played like crap Saturday. I mean, does the offense practice? Do they run a slant? I mean, can they figure out?
Do they run the ball, Jay? Do they know they have a running back like that?
A running back that Jeremiah Cobb? I'm not saying he's Ahmad Hardy, but he had been really good.
All right. Yeah, we could have some fun with this. Sam wants the hot board. Sam, we'll give you the hot board soon, depending on how these next couple of weeks go on that. So, all right, let's continue on here. Let's see where we're at here. Actually, before we do that, let me quickly tell you about our friends at GameTime Sidekicks. You guys know it. GameTime Sidekicks, the best of the best when it comes to the quality. Jay's got the SEC Cup this morning. I don't see the Auburn Cup. He's representing the hat, but I don't.
I'm wearing the Auburn visor, man. I put this on social media.
Okay, all right.
I'm always going to be an Auburn man, primarily because I went to school there, and I love it, and I can't afford to overhaul my wardrobe. You know my paycheck, and I work for a newspaper full time. I don't make a lot of money, but damn. Hugh Freeze, you're ruining my fall, man.
If you're upset with Hugh Freeze right now, I think the best way you can handle your frustration is by buying a cup over at GameTime Sidekicks. Officially licensed stainless steel drinkware, as you know. Just a tremendous cup these guys make over there. And, I mean, every SEC school, over 350 more universities as well. If you're an Auburn fan, you're like, I'm done. Well, you got more SEC schools to choose from, over 350 more as well in the country. Everything from stainless steel sippy cups, tumblers, 40-ounce bottles, and shaker cups. SE16 for 20% discount to our fine viewers here at Southeastern 16, GameTimeSidekicks.com. We've also been telling you about our new friends at HOF. This is the Sam Smith special. We're just going to put this across our face here. We enjoy this one. So, HOF, smart bettors rely on data, but HOF hands you the powerful analytics you need to tilt the odds in your favor, improve your chances of winning using the historical data, matchup grades, trends, player performance insights, all that great stuff. And remember, too, we keep telling you it was made by Ivy League sports geeks to make sure that everyday fans can bet smarter. And for a limited time only, remember, too, our listeners not only get a 7-day free trial, but they also get 50% off their first month when they use that code SE16 at checkout. Download the app on iOS or Android, HOF. Search for it there. Enter the code SE16, and you're all set with our friends at HOF. All right, we move on to the next team on our list, and that is Mississippi State, Jay, at number 11. Thought Mississippi State could be a little bit higher this week. We'll talk about the jumbled mess elsewhere in a minute. I think this middle is a bit of a mess, but man, we said it on Saturday after that Tennessee game. No, the Vols won, but I think if you're a Mississippi State fan, you're still feeling really good about where this program is at moving forward.
Absolutely. And, I mean, the good and the bad is you're feeling really good about your program, but we had a bunch of folks kicking Jeff Levy's name around about, well, Arkansas come calling. I mean, and he deserves all the flowers. I actually had them a spot ahead of this.
I did too.
Because this is the one-loss scenario, and look, you get fleeting moments like they had against Tennessee where you're at home, place is hyped. It would have been a field rushing type of game. It could be the linchpin type of springboard win that every rebuilding program needs. But it's a deep team picture on who's done what this year in terms of coach of the year. But so you might could put a couple of check marks on some other people that you would vote for. I don't know if anybody's done a better job than what Jeff Levy's done.
Yep. He's been excellent. And, you look at their upcoming schedule too. It is kind of one of those where they go to A&M this weekend. I think that's a fascinating game based on what A&M does, coming off of the win against Auburn, but really what A&M has done this entire season. The Mississippi State's offensive approach could be interesting. And then they still have games on the schedule: home against Texas, home against Georgia, home against Ole Miss. I mean, road trips to Florida, Arkansas, Missouri, which could all be winnable. So, yeah, I think it's we'll see where Mississippi State winds up. But yeah, I think you feel really good about where they're at right now. If you feel so good about Mississippi State, folks, you want to get in on the playoff, you can over at FanDuel. Plus 2,500 still to make the college football playoff. But we're throwing those odds out there if you're feeling a little frisky on the Bulldogs. But, all right, number 10, how the mighty have fallen. LSU is at number 10. And, I mean, it's one of those, Jay, where if you look at the numbers, you're going to be like, well, come on. They're coming off a 5-point loss at Ole Miss. Their only loss of the season. But, I mean, that was a pretty one-sided game. We brought up the total yard numbers and all that, and the story is still the same with LSU. It's just where in the world is the offense?
Where in the world is the offense? And I know they were without their best running back. The offensive line has been a problem that has not been solved, going now in 5 games for a lot of teams. The defense plays hard, and they are much better. But this offense is bad. And one of my regulars in my column Monday through Friday in the mornings at timesfreepress.com noted this. In today's college football, remember how we used to always have misconceptions about athletic quarterbacks and all that conversation about, well, if they run, then they're not sitting in the pocket and making good decisions. That used to be a detriment. Well, I don't think – look, if Michael Vick was 10 years ahead of his time, Peyton Manning better thank his lucky stars he didn't come along today. And look, Peyton Manning was great. I'm not throwing shade at Peyton Manning, but Eli Manning better really thank his lucky stars that he didn't come along today. And he's a 5'7" step drop guy who's standing in the pocket, who's now – these athletes come at you relentlessly and from all angles. And it's such a fast game. And if you're not some sort of threat, and Nussmeier's not, if you are not some sort of threat to run the football with your quarterback, your offense is at a disadvantage in today's football.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, you look at some of the numbers for LSU, and I just think it's very glaring, like you mentioned, just in terms of like the offensive thing right now. We talked about it. If you didn't watch the show we did on Saturday, the total yards, I know it was 24-19, but 484 to 256 in that one. I know a lot of people have brought up the offensive line, and we had people yesterday, who was it? I think it was Eric, begging in the Sam Pittman stream that we did, begging Sam Pittman to come fix their offensive line issues in Baton Rouge. So don't know if that'll happen right now, but that is wild to see LSU here. But also, let's be honest too, part of this is a product of what that Clemson win looks like at this point as well. So Fair, unfair. That's where it's at. All right. Another team that I'm sure people will think we still have too low, but I don't know. You tell me, Jay. Texas is at 9 here.
I
mean,
actually have Texas atop my power middle of one-loss teams. I think, and yes, Sam, I do have Texas above Bama and UGA because I think they've got the best loss. Going to Ohio State is the best loss. 2-touchdown loss at FSU is not, and that didn't age well this weekend with what happened at Virginia. Tennessee, Georgia losing at home, even to very good teams. That's losing at home. Those are supposed to be. But I had Texas atop this group in that regard. And the other tiebreaker for me is I think it's debatable about who you want to say has the best offense. I think Texas has the best defense in the league, and that's going to travel well. They also have the most doable schedule.
Yeah, and that's where I was going to go because we talk about, like, what have you done so far, but I think it's also, like, what you can do the rest of the way. And like we said, power rankings are subjective. Everybody uses different criteria. But if you look at Texas's schedule, and we talked about this before the season, they're sitting here at 3-1 right now. I mean, they lose the opener to Ohio State. Since then, they've beaten San Jose State, UTEP, and Sam Houston. That doesn't move the needle for anybody in terms of probably moving them up in our rankings. But at Florida, home against an Oklahoma team that probably won't have their quarterback, right? At Kentucky, at Mississippi State, home against Vanderbilt, at Georgia, Arkansas, and A&M both at home. So I just think, you're looking at a team that's where if they do lose multiple games the rest of the way, it's going to be just because the offense can't get it going against these better teams. So,
and we can talk about it moving forward when we get to who it is, but the Mateer injury kind of hurts Texas. I mean, because there's going to be, when the political season comes around and all these coaches get in front of podiums and they start talking about, well, strength of schedule, and Texas's best win was against Oklahoma and they didn't have their starting quarterback. And I mean, look, that rivalry means so much to everybody involved. Any win's a good win. It could be the classic Auburn, Mississippi State 3-2 game, and nobody's going to give a damn. And that, I get it, and I appreciate it, and I respect it. But in some ways, if Mateer doesn't play and Oklahoma stays close, they get a mulligan, and Texas won't get a whole lot of credit.
Yep, that's a good point. If you're looking at the numbers over at FanDuel right now, Texas still, to make the college football playoff, minus 168. And they still have the third best odds in terms of national championship odds, which I don't know how many people would touch that right now. Maybe some would, Jay, but having the third best odds ahead of, again, teams like Alabama, Georgia, and so forth. But we'll see. So they're the Longhorns at the moment. They're on that. Yeah, Luke asking. I brought the LA Rams hoodie back, Luke. I did. Puka Nacua.
Dude is legit. And if you're a fantasy football player and you're trying to figure out every way possible to trade for Puka Nacua, because that guy gets more targets than the apple on William Tell's head. I mean, it is that guy he's flipping Waffle House. He's always open. Always.
Yeah. If you're currently yours truly right now, speaking of Texas, and have CeeDee Lamb, who is on the sidelines, wouldn't mind Puka Nacua subbing in for him. No luxury to do that. But speaking of dudes, Jay.
Yes, sir.
Vanderbilt is at number 8.
What?
I had them higher than this. Here's what I'm trying to figure out. Okay, so your reaction is where I start to try to figure out who in the world had some of these teams lower than us.
Did somebody do this alphabetically?
We seem to be on the same page here a little bit, so I'm a little surprised by that.
5.
Maybe a little concerned, but you had him at 5? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't think I had him very far behind. So somebody still has him lower.
It's not Brian Edwards, because he and we've got a rule. I don't know how many rules you and Max have with your basketball show, but when Brian and I do a show, we have to mention. I mean, it's tough in like June, but we have to mention Diego Pavia every single show. I mean, dude had 6 touchdowns, and I know they started slow, but I'm kicking myself for not betting Utah State plus 23.5 because on Monday before of game week, you get put into the rankings, which is a big deal. And then next Saturday, you're going to Tuscaloosa where game day is going to be, which is a big deal. Of course, you're going to start slow. And then Diego's told everybody to hold his beer because I'm about to go out here and just go ahead and make certain I kick the Aggies' butt.
Well, yeah. We brought up the point yesterday. We're like, Vanderbilt getting game day on the road in Tuscaloosa and Bobby Petrino being the Arkansas head coach again in the exact same week is just, I mean, really this same day is one of the wildest, SEC football turn of events in a long time. But yeah, so the Commodores are still here, and I think it may have been Zach in the comments brought up, well, who have they beaten so far? I think that's probably, if you're looking at one of the things, you're going to say, well, Charleston Southern, Virginia Tech, Georgia State, Utah State, they did have the 31-7 win on the road against South Carolina. But now, yes, if you want to push back on the Vanderbilt love, you may get your chance. Their next 4 games at Alabama versus LSU versus Missouri at Texas. So we'll see what the Commodores' record is coming out of this. But and I know Sam wants the playoff odds for his Commodores. And currently, Sam, Vanderbilt's odds to make the college football playoff are plus 520, which is not that. Like, that is not even, I don't remember what it was before the season, Jay, but plus 520.
To make the playoff, it was closer to like plus 3,000.
I was going to say, it had to be an astronomical number.
It may have been even higher than that because I remember doing the win total show with Brian Edwards, and you had to pay heavy juice. It was like minus 180, which means bet 180 to win 100. That some sites had Vandy's win total at 4.5. They did that in September, people.
Wild.
Yeah.
You win some, you lose some.
That's cashing a check before Columbus Day on a win total.
Those are the ones I like the most. I never get them, but it's the ones I like the most. So, all right. So Vanderbilt today, we've heard the backlash on that. Don't blame us. All right. Number 7. Sure, there's going to be some on this too.
Oh my God! Missouri. I got them like 3 spots higher than this too.
It's a composite ranking, folks. Don't throw your hatred at Jay Greeson.
Meeting. We're going to have a team meeting because we got to. I know I'm not preaching at you. I put mine in the chat. I got Missouri at 4, and we're going to have a team meeting on voting on what has happened or what we expect to happen. How is it all my fault? How you doing, 70? I don't know how it's all my fault.
It's your fault.
Yelling at me? I know I'm yelling at you. Why are you yelling at me?
All caps.
Hey, you want to hear a stat that'll blow your mind? On FanDuel this morning, I looked it up. Garrett Nussmeier was among the top 3 Heisman favorites for the season started. Right now on the FanDuel odds, he is 9th among SEC players. I say this as we talk about Missouri because Missouri has 2 players who have shorter odds to win the Heisman. 2 than Garrett Nussmeier.
That's wild. Yeah. Prbula is at plus 3,000. Hardy also has now moved all the way up to plus 3,000. Chris and I were making a big deal about that. What was it, 2 weeks ago? Maybe last week. About how it was like still at like plus 8,000 for Ahmad Hardy. But now it's, jumped up considerably. All
right. Now that's a fair question that Wicked Brew just asked. Isn't Mizzou still in the Big 12? Hey, Wicked Brew, it's impossible to keep up. It's impossible. I still think every time Syracuse plays, I'm going, why am I watching Big East football? I mean, I'm sorry. It's just impossible to keep up.
Well, I think the best response is from Moonshine here. Everything is your fault with about 8 exclamation points after that. But, yeah, so Missouri winds up here at number 7. I'll give you their upcoming schedule. They get the week off, coming off the 42-6 win against UMass. And then it's the Crimson Tide coming to town after that, at Auburn, at Vanderbilt. And then, yeah, I mean, we said it. Listen, if you want to go back, we got the proof. We all answered the same in unison when we asked the question on one of those preseason shows. Who is the team that's getting basically the biggest sleeper team out there? And we all at the same time said Missouri. So they're 5-0 right now. Big stretch coming up for them. And we'll see where we have the Tigers ranked. Jay and I were both higher than this on their ranking this week. All right. Here's where I think things start to get really interesting. And I don't know what – I'm a little surprised that our top 6 wound up the way it did, but here we go. Tennessee's at 6. Jay, coming off of the win at Mississippi State. I had Tennessee higher.
You had Tennessee higher. I had Tennessee significantly lower. So,
all right. So that's probably how we got here.
I had Tennessee at 9. And because, look, if you're going to bag on Vandy, who's still undefeated, on who they've beaten, I mean, Mississippi State going to Starkville and winning and going to Columbia, Missouri and winning, there's no doubt that they're pretty – I mean, the Vandy game was a hell of a lot more impressive, quarterback injury aside. And, yeah, Tennessee, among the Tennessee-Vandy comps, has played the toughest opponent in those 10 games among the two, and that turned into their loss against Georgia. But I think what has happened should matter. I mean, So, look, I'll say this, and I said this in the offseason. They had a tough time with Fluff Bothwell, and a lot of people are. And his nickname is Money. He got it when he was born because he was born at 11 pounds, and his mama called him her big fluffy baby. And his dad hated that name, so we're not calling him Fluffy, and that's good daddying right there. You don't start your son out on a path of – now, he grew up into a big kid, so it wasn't like he was going to get bullied anyway. But you don't start your kid on a path with the nickname Fluffy. So they called him Fluff. He said the last time he's heard his real name, which is, I think, Demarion, was middle school. Wow. See, a lot of people don't know that your real name is Demarion, and just everybody calls you Blake.
Well, yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Tennessee's odds. You want Tennessee's odds right now to make the playoff plus 250.
And that's a good bet. And I'll tell you why it's a good bet, even with a loss right now. There needs to be some flowers given to the defensive philosophy that the volunteer coaching staff is putting their kids in a great place to make drive-changing plays behind the line of scrimmage. Each of the last 2 years, with different people in a lot of cases, they've had 100-plus tackles for loss. Last year, they lose a first-round NFL draft pick as an edge rusher, and now this year, coming back, they're number 1 in the country in sacks. And they haven't played Auburn. And, I mean, for God's sakes, Auburn's allowing more sacks than Publix. So it is Tennessee defensively, schematically, yes, they had a tough time stopping the run, but I think a lot of people are going to have a tough time stopping Fluff Bothwell. But it's impressive. Look, I've been super high on Heupel. I've been trying to ask somebody why he's not the second best coach. And who would you rank ahead of him, not named Kirby Smart, in this league?
Yeah. I think I say that as yes right now, but I think some Tennessee fans and others may be looking at that final 13 seconds against Mississippi State in regulation and say, all right, now hold on a second. The way they mismanaged that a little bit. But yes, shout out to Kevin too, by the way. Kevin, one of our long-time Super Chat legends here at Southeastern 16. $20 from Kevin. We appreciate it as always. Vols by 50, he says. Yes, and so we'll see where the Vols wind up, currently at number 6 in the power rankings this week. By the way, Rick is going to talk about us losing credibility. That happened long ago, Rick. But asked who did the ratings. Remember, and we always say this, it's a composite ranking, not just from Jay and I. I think we have 5 or 6 people who send in their individual rankings. And all it takes sometimes is one person to have a much different opinion, and it's a composite. So you average the numbers together, this is what you get. So nothing we can do about it, Rick. We told you the teams we've been higher on, lower on, and so forth. So it's just a composite, and that's the way it works sometimes with the composite ranking. So, all right, here we go. Top 5. But before we get there, and I think some people are going to, I think the reaction to number 5 is going to be very interesting. All right, before we get there, though, there's your teaser for what's to come. ROKFORM, we keep telling you about them. ROKFORM.com, the world's strongest magnetic phone case. Extreme protection, super strong magnets, rock lock secure mounting. I'd show you mine, but it's currently holding my camera, which is my phone. September, their busiest month of the year. The new iPhone's coming out. Go get your cases, accessories, all that good stuff over at ROKFORM, and do it with 25% off by using the code SEC25, SEC25 over at ROKFORM.com. And you know it, our friends at HOVI Dry Goods, your new favorite hat. Look no further than the HOVI hats for high-quality headwear with a great fit and unique designs. Bad Beat is the promo code forever now. Bad Beat, 15% off over at HOVIDryGoods.com. All right, to the top 5 we go. And I said I think some people are going to be surprised by this. I was surprised by this. How you doing says, Blake doesn't seem too pleased at 5. I'm just going to tell you, I'm surprised at number 5. That's all I'm going to say. Because I think this team.
You've done a great job as the setup man here. Because I'm now thinking, holy bleep, is Oklahoma 5?
It's not, but I am a little surprised that this team is at 5. I did not rank them at 5, and that's Georgia.
I didn't rank them at 5 either. I had them a few points lower than that.
You have them lower, okay?
Yes.
So there we go. All right, discuss. Like
I had
setting up an English term paper.
I had Georgia at 8.
Okay.
Because,
well, then that's how they dropped.
Yeah, and I'm done with the Phil Steele magazine. I'm going by who's winning games and who's doing what on the field.
All right.
And it's impossible to rank Alabama behind Georgia in this conversation.
Well, I don't disagree with that.
Over there on Saturday and won.
I don't disagree with that at all. But I thought they'd be higher than 5. That's all.
And I also don't look through it in the prism of, because while a lot of people assume FanDuel spreads are about power rankings, they're not. Spreads are set for gamblers to try to get equal amounts of money bet on each side. And that way the books don't sweat the outcome. They just collect the juice. So if you look up, and they may roll away with it, but Alabama's close to a 2-touchdown favorite over Vandy. If you took the names off the front of those shirts and what those two teams have done this year and the stats comparison, if this was solely an analytical exercise, Vanderbilt would be higher than Alabama. They're not, but I mean, I don't know. It is conjecture and subjective, and this is not the same Georgia defense. Alabama shredded them on third down, and Mike Bobo's involved.
And on that. By the way, William says define power. I just think this is hilarious too, William, because I'm like, I don't know how you define power as power rankings. Like, we all have different criteria. I can't even give you a great definition. It's why these things, to me, I always say are the silliest things, but we do it because they're fun to talk about. But they ultimately mean absolutely nothing, folks, and we understand that, okay? We're just having fun here, so please don't get too carried away with them. But I think this is the best one we've ever had. Define power. It's absurd, and you're exactly right, William. Who knows how you define it? All right, so Georgia's at 5. We disagree a little bit on that.
Where did you have them?
I had them. Let's see where I had them. Yes, I did. So, all right, let's get to the next one. Texas A&M at 4. The Aggies, as we said, coming off of the win against Auburn. They've got the road win at Notre Dame to this point, to their credit. I said, and we may have differed a little bit on Texas A&M too. I don't remember. We did so many streams this weekend. I couldn't tell you which one. But I really like this A&M team, and I keep saying the reason why is I just think they have so many playmakers and they have those game-changing type plays. Now, I know their performance against Auburn left a little bit to be desired, but I still think this is a really, really good football team. And if you want to know their updated odds in terms of making the playoff, now at minus 114 for yes, minus 106 for no over at FanDuel.
I'm curious about some of the Aggie fans in our chat. Their frustration level. Look, Texas A&M was wearing out Auburn's defense. It was clear Auburn was trying to get to 2nd and 8. That they didn't really care about. I mean, it just was Auburn was not going to score enough anywhere. But you do the one thing and you throw a bubble screen that turns into a 72-yard interception return that actually gave Auburn life. And again, I'm not saying the game was ever in doubt. Look, Aggie faithful, I don't know if I've ever seen a more lopsided 6-point win in my life. I mean, that was pillar to post, a tail whipping. And I'll be real interested to see how they treat that. Now, those wide receivers are dudes. Texas A&M's wide receivers are legit. Concepcion was money well spent in the portal.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it. Craver just having the numbers he's put up this season too. I mean, my goodness. 477, 4 touchdowns, averaging, it's basically 20 yards a catch this year. But yeah, Concepcion, we were talking about him last year. Where it was like, hey, if there's a guy who's going to come over to the SEC, love to see him in the SEC. And of course, he wound up being there in College Station. But I think that pairing plus that running back room they've got, Marcel Reed, I think, clearly still someone who can make a lot of plays. I don't want to necessarily knock A&M just for having, like you said, what felt like a pretty lopsided win, even though it was only 6 points on the scoreboard. And I know people have pushed back too a little bit in terms of, hey, they go and win at Notre Dame by 1. Their other games, they have allowed some points. UTSA scored 24. Utah State scored 22. I get it, but I don't really want to penalize them. I think they're really good.
Utah State just put, 35 on Vandy?
Yeah. So, yep. And here's a question. I'm going to pull this back up. Luke, what would you say to this, Jay? He says Mike Elko, the 3rd best coach in the league.
I'm starting to change my view on Elko a little bit. I don't think he's the 3rd best coach because I don't think I've just off the top of my head, Kirby, Heupel, and Lane are better, and in my opinion. But I think Elko, I tell you what I love, man, is I love his energy. He brings fire that I think all of us want from the guy on our sideline. Look, if you're not going to be that fiery guy, you better win a whole bunch to where you can be stoic and then say what you got to say to your fan base through the media about, like, you better be Kirby. And Kirby's fiery. And Saban was fiery when the matter needed it. Elko, look, the question, Luke, Elko coming out of the tunnel Saturday in College Station. Look, man, that's a great place to watch a football game. That is a great place to watch a football game. I've been blessed to be at a whole lot of places around this league. That is a great place to watch a football game.
No. All right. I know Justin's getting on us. Justin, we said earlier, we both had Vanderbilt higher. You're the longest running member here at the channel. This is just how we've done it. So I don't know. Take to the streets and ask these people. Post their 1 through 16s.
I'll do mine again because I know people are coming in at various times. There you go, Justin. I got no problem.
Oh, there it is. Right there. Copy and paste right into it. All right. Let's get to the next one here, to our top 3. Oklahoma is at 3, Jay. The Sooners. I mean,
dear Lord, man, did I can't even believe I just forgot his name. Did the redneck that poisoned Auburn's trees get a ballot this week? Because we haven't mentioned Alabama yet. Holy bleep, man.
Oklahoma 3. So here's my question, okay? Let me ask you a question. And this is not from me. I'm asking you a question that I know people are looking at and debating right now. All right? If it's we had our fun with the power part of the rankings. If it's a week 6 power ranking, do you knock Oklahoma for not having their Heisman potential quarterback or not?
I don't. No. I don't knock them at all. And look, for you guys who are saying Oklahoma's got no offense, hey, if one part of me could win a Heisman, do you know how happy that would make my dad? He'd be in heaven looking down going, I knew I didn't raise a loser. If somebody put in the chat, Oklahoma's got no offense. Well, they put 24 on Auburn, and Texas A&M just put 16 on Auburn. Oklahoma's got no running game. Oklahoma's got an offense. And listen, bro, Oklahoma's got defense that will curl your hair. That front seven is filthy.
Yeah. Well, I think it was Ethan here brings up, you can't drop them for things that haven't happened yet. I think that's probably the right stance. Because you're projecting at that point. And that's like we said, that's where we get into, I think, based on the 5 or 6 guys that we have that submit ballots, I think there's going to be a combination of projections versus what's happened so far. And we can never seemingly have a perfect answer in the middle.
And mine is more on what I've seen than what I'm projecting. So mine is going to be an outlier. I go back and look. I've posted it 3 times. You want to know where I had Oklahoma?
There you go. Well, I can't wait for your reaction for this one because here we go into the top 2. And I think I already know what Jay's going to be reacting to one of these, but also by knowing number 2, you guys are going to know exactly where we're at on number 1.
Holy bleep. Did Alabama go all the way to 1?
So we're going to set up the top 2 here. Before I do it, come on, this is how I do this here. Remember, you can subscribe to the channel, which seemingly half of you are unsubscribing now, which is fine. You can always come back. They give you the button to do it. It's not like it's a forever thing. But you can you can throw your visors as well. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button as well. Turn on your notifications so you know when we do all of our fun stuff here at Southeastern 16. And remember, we've got predictions coming up for week 6 today. You'll get the games. Predictions for those, again, with some big ones this week. Alabama, Vanderbilt, Florida, Texas, A&M, Mississippi State, and so forth. So get our thoughts on that as well. And yeah, so there's your setup. Support all of our sponsors as well. I'm saying this before you all jump out of here based on 2 and 1. Here we go. Number 2 in our power rankings this week. The Alabama Crimson Tide.
I'm better with Ole Miss being 1 than Alabama being 1.
Which, for the first time in the history of this channel, which was started almost 5 years ago, Ole Miss is going to have the number 1 spot in our rankings. I'm fairly certain about that. I did try to go back and do the research. I'm pretty sure we have never had number 1 Ole Miss in our rankings. So there you go. Sorry, how you doing? I know I set it up to really make you think that it was going to be the opposite, but there you have
it. Great win. We doing Alabama or Ole Miss first?
It doesn't matter. I'm just going to keep Ole Miss on the screen at 1, but I'll put Alabama back up there if you want to discuss them.
I think you want to talk about the big picture at times feeling useless in this job. I write a newspaper column 5 days a week. I do close to 10 of these a week here on Southeastern 16, and I'm blessed to have it. I'm working from home. I may not even have pants on. So it's a great life. how much ink and bandwidth did we waste on quarterbacks from Memorial Day to the start of school in August, and all these different issues? And nobody mentioned Trinidad Chambliss, and he's the best damn player in the league.
By the way, Luke asked the question real quick. Wants to know what Chambliss's Heisman odds now and what were they were preseason. I mean, they couldn't even be listed preseason.
No, they were off the board preseason. They
Yeah.
were off the board. You couldn't make that bet.
Here is your current top 5 over at FanDuel for Heisman odds. Dante Moore at Oregon's plus 650. Jeremiah Smith at Ohio State's plus 950. Ty Simpson, Alabama, plus 950. Carson Beck, Miami, plus 1,000. And then Trinidad Chambliss, Ole Miss, plus 1,200.
Yep. And you know what? I think you can look, Ty Simpson was a 5-star dude. So visor tip. That's the traditional path of this. In the conversation moving forward in the portal age, you're going to have a coach on your staff who can get the most out of his quarterback. It is clear Auburn does not have that. Holy bleep. Jackson Arnold, 5-star dude. Joey Aguilar was about to give up football playing in a junior college before he found his way to App State, found his way to UCLA for a cup of coffee, and came back. Trinidad Chambliss was at Ferris State, and he now looks like the best player in this league. You know the connection? Lane Kiffin and Josh Heupel can communicate with quarterbacks, and they get the best out of them by not only motivating them and preparing them, they've got an idea of what these guys can do, their skill set. Because Josh Heupel's offense is staggeringly different from what Joe Milton did and from what Hendon Hooker did. And look, there's similar threats, Austin Simmons and Trinidad Chambliss, but Trinidad Chambliss is a much better or a much more committed runner. And in a lot of ways, that's more important in modern college football, is you don't only have to be able to run, you've got to be willing to run, which means you've got to be fearless. And Trinidad Chambliss, man, that dude for 3 weeks, he's looked like a cross between Johnny Football and RG3, and I mean that with the highest praise everywhere. And Joseph Moore, to your point, I wrote this morning. Austin Simmons' ankle is going to be Wally Pipp's hangover that allowed Lou Gehrig to start 2,000 consecutive games at first base for the Yankees.
Well, I'll give you, and by the way, I know, what was it? Justin was asking, how is Diego Pavia not in the top 10? He is in the top 10 now, Justin. He is currently at plus 1,700. He's right behind Mendoza in Indiana and then San at Ohio State. But I'm going to tell you this, Jay. Here's an unofficial stat. For the first time ever in the history of civilization, a Vanderbilt and Tennessee quarterback currently have the same Heisman odds. I can't imagine that's ever happened before. But yes, Diego Pavi's plus 1,700. Joey Aguilar also plus 1,700 right now.
Now, somebody asked what was Chambliss's odds to start the season. I know this because I think Brian may have bet it. Brian bet a couple of long shot Heismans. One was Haynes King, who's gone from like plus 9,500 to like plus 2,000. The other was Diego Pavia's was plus 15,000 to start the season. His Heisman odds.
Well, I know William too mentioning Hardy. We did mention Ahmad Hardy earlier when we were talking about Missouri. His have gone from, they were plus 8,000 2 weeks ago, I believe. Now he's up to plus 3,000. He has the exact same odds as Bo Papula. But we know how it works with quarterbacks in this thing. But yes, we've continued to say, like, Ahmad Hardy's numbers are just absurd. So I'm glad he's getting more love, but at the same time, you wouldn't mind him having lower odds just to keep getting more money out of it if he were to get there. So,
all right. I know we're going in a little bit reverse order and we're starting to run low on your window.
No, we're good.
To give Alabama their flowers, Big Game DeBoer is a thing. In his 5 years at Washington and Alabama combined, he's 6-1 against top 5 teams. So, and that screen pass, to the big fat tackle. I'm sorry, he's not fat at all. To the huge human Caden Proctor, that was inspired. I mean,
I'll tell you what was inspired was the safety who said, I'm all in. If you're Kirby Smart and you're thinking, you know what, I need to know who's all in on this team right now. That's the guy that's going after Caden Proctor trying to tackle him. That's the guy who I'm going to put up there every single time. So,
great win for Alabama. Great win for Alabama. I actually thought it was a bad look when Kirby said, what's everybody else's record against them? That devalues who you are. I mean, look, he was clearly irritated by it, and those guys handle their emotions a hell of a lot better than I do. I just threw my visor because Alabama moved up to all the way number 2 in the power rankings because I think that's overinflated. So I'm not giving a TED talk on anger management, but Kirby should just, I mean, hey, they played great. We did not. We gave up far too many third down conversions. And I'm going to say something right now that I believe should be in the tenets of football, somewhere up there with naming your dog after your favorite player and taking your favorite brown liquor drink to a tailgate and taking more than just for you. Be that kind of teammate right there. If it's 4th and inches and you're going for it, get the hell out of shotgun. All right? I mean,
this is Madden 101.
Rule
like this is Madden 101. We talked about this with some of the coaching mismanagements on Saturday. Just play a game of Madden, and it's very simple. They draw it up for you. Just do the QB sneak. It works. Tush push. Like, dude, why not?
I mean, I'm not saying you got to get 1.5. I'm not saying. Look, I've got this theory, Blake, that I think every NFL team and every major college NFL team, forget the laminated sheet that Butch Jones made infamous about, this is what we go for in points and whatever else. Go hire an elite Madden player and have him sit over there in the coach's box playing Madden. And then whenever you need him, say, hey, Trevor, do we go for it here? And he can look at the scoreboard and say, yep, you go for it. Trevor, what do we run here? Quarterback sneak under center. Onside kick the field goal, down 2, score, down 10 points with 1:50 left so you have a chance. I mean, those guys know more football than all of us. Than all of us combined.
Look,
but
this is
infuriating.
Hey, if there's
the analytics.
If there is one thing this entire chat can agree on, and it's never power rankings, we understand that, but it's a losing game for us. However, we can all agree that, yes, what Jay just said, I think we can have a unanimous decision on that and be in unison on that thought. So, all right.
Blake, I'm sorry I got fiery. I got a bunch of these to do today. My dog's sleeping. I got out of control.
All right, so the real question is, and this is from SC Scout Guy, is Jay an Xbox or PlayStation guy?
I grew up an Xbox guy. My son's a PlayStation guy, so I currently play EA College Sports, Football 26 on PlayStation. And yes, in the Dynasty mode, Cam Coleman did win a Heisman.
There you go. Auburn fans, that's your consolation prize for today's ranking right there. So I am a PlayStation guy, by the way, SC Scout Guy. You didn't ask, but yes, I'm a PlayStation guy. And so there you have it. All right, power rankings, another week in the books. More just furious results here in our rankings. But I do want to quickly circle back around before we let everyone know. Ethan says he's completely heartbroken that Jay is an Xbox guy. He says he was.
Hey, I'm actually a double dipper. I mean, so because I grew up on Xbox, but now, Luke, Sega Genesis. I played them all.
Look at this.
I'm old enough that I grew up on in television, which Blake doesn't even know what the hell that is.
Well, Backflip Spaghetti was an Atari guy, so that's going back. We appreciate that. Yeah, so Sega Genesis. I'd go PlayStation 1. Sorry, SC Scout guy. I'd actually go Sega Genesis 2, Xbox 3. all-time favorites. But there you go. Dreamcast, though, if it hung around longer, I'd have been all in on the Dreamcast. A little NBA 2K action. So, all right. Commodore 64 from Badgers Den Golf. Here, this might be the best question. And we did not bring up this name yesterday, but Joseph wants to know if Rick Moranis can coach Arkansas. I mean,
hey,
it worked.
He beat Ed O'Shea's Dallas Cowboys and led the Little Giants to immortality, man. Now, the big question is, can he recruit an icebox? Because they need some defensive help.
Yeah, they do. Oh, by the way, hang on a second. This is completely blank. You're Alex. I put Nintendo at 2. I'm sorry. I would put Nintendo at 2. Yeah,
I got addicted to video games in the summer of '88 because of Mike Tyson's Punch Out.
Oh yeah.
And Mike Tyson's Punch Out. If you guys know, if you know, you know, as the kids say. But there has never been one game that you work, and then when you win it, you don't ever play it again.
Never.
I mean, it is like the ultimate cross off the list and then forget about
it. Yeah. And we'll never forget about the annexation of Puerto Rico, though.
No.
And the Little Giants. Run that on a 4th and inches instead of whatever else we're running here. Okay? There you go. All right, guys. But I was about to say, in all seriousness, we do appreciate, and I'm going to put all these comments on the screen because you guys were jumping in earlier, sending your love to Chris. If you did just join, we did mention at the start of the show, Chris's mom passed away this morning. Be sure to send your love to him. You can reach out to him on Twitter if you want, at ChrisLee70. If you follow him at the other places that he does stuff, you can reach out there as well. You know how to get in touch with him on that. So, we do appreciate you guys sending in your kind thoughts and such for Chris and his family at this time. So, again, we appreciate you guys jumping in today on Power Rankings. Be sure to, as we said, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff. A lot of prediction videos coming today on the games for this weekend. We only have 5 this weekend, so not a lot of videos because there aren't that many games, but we will have more stuff this week. Jay and I will probably do a couple other things live this week as well. So, again, turn on your notifications. Be sure to check out everything on the channel. We appreciate you guys as always, and we will talk to you soon here at Southeastern 16, presented by FanDuel.